What's up, amigos? It's the Prodigy Maker Minute with yours truly, Chris Lewitt. As you may know, I'm the former #1 for Cornell University, pro circuit player, elite junior development coach, and author and educator, author of The Secrets of Spanish Tennis and the Tennis Technique Bible. On this Prodigy Maker Minute, I want to talk about technique. It's one of my favorite things to work on. I love working on the biomechanics and the technique of especially young players, but of course, adults come to me too, and everywhere in between. But I work on serves a lot. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see with young children is that their coaches are teaching them to put the racket resting on the shoulder or in the back scratch position, sort of artificially in the back scratch position. And most kids, at least in the US that I've seen, are taught this way, to sort of place the racket in the half motion position or starting position that's like on the shoulder or in the back scratch, like deep in the back scratch. And then they toss and then they go and kind of like tap it or make like a high five with the ball. That's kind of how I was taught to teach young children, like make a big high five. And usually coaches do that to make the serve easier to coordinate because there's less, arm movements. You don't have to bring the racket all the way up into the L shape or power position and then execute a back scratch and then go up to hit the ball. Those steps are more complex biomechanically and they're harder to coordinate for young children. But I think it's a big mistake. I think it's wrong to start a kid on the shoulder like this or in the back scratch, deep in the back scratch, because it creates a lot of rhythm problems later on. And it creates some dysfunction in terms of when the legs drive and when the racket drops into the back scratch position as you're accelerating up to the ball. And so I see those problems later on when players come to me between like the ages of 10 and 14. A lot of players have rhythm problems and dysfunction in the coordination between the upper body and lower body and the timing of when the racket's dropping. And so this is something I talk about a lot, but I think that should basically be banned. Like all around the country, I would like to see players taught more with an L shape, working more on the power position and learning how to synchronize the legs with the racket, basically the racket accelerating up to the ball. And so what I like to do is have the young kids learn how to jump, learn how to use their legs and actually leave the ground, which is another thing that bugs me. A lot of coaches are not teaching that. A lot of coaches teach players just to be like stable and rooted to the ground, very grounded. And I like to start to build the strength in the shoulder and the wrist and the musculature of the hand, even to hold that racket up. That weight of the racket in the power position in the L shapes really, really, I think, important for especially for young children between the ages of, let's say, 5 and 10 years old. So L shape rather than I don't know what to call that, like back scratch position or racket on the shoulder. The racket sort of just resting on the shoulder. That doesn't develop any strength at all. The players literally just sort of like the racket is collapsed onto the shoulder and then they use their tricep and shoulder to reach up to hit the ball. It's not a very good way to learn the serve. And then later on, a lot of those kids, especially if they're starting down here in the back scratch, they go down here before they use the legs. The idea is to kind of use the legs to drive the racket into the back scratch position, into the racket drop. And the players, they develop a lot of timing issues where they're actually using the legs after they drop because they're so used to having the racket down there. So I just think, that if you're a parent or we have a lot of coaches who listen to the channel, like stop teaching that. I know USPTA, PTR probably taught that for years, but just stop teaching it that way. Build the power position. Parents, try not to let your kids learn that way. Make sure the kids are working on their power position, working on leg drive, and then ultimately, even at a young age, working on sequencing the leg drive to initiate a good racket drop. And if you work on that at a young age, you're going to have a kid between, as they get older and become more serious, between, let's say, 10 and 14, you're going to have the foundation for a world-class serve, and everything's going to be better. Guys, if you like this Prodigy Maker Minute, please consider listening to or watching my big show, which is our podcast. I do have new episodes planned. I've been a little derailed because I've been finishing up my new book, Secrets of Spanish Tennis, 2nd edition. So I've been writing, finally got the manuscript in, and we'll be getting back to more regular podcasts. And please subscribe. According to our metrics, we have lots of people who enjoy watching the show, but watching the channel, but a lot of you are not subscribed. We really appreciate it if you could subscribe, because we can't grow the channel without subscribers. So thank you so much for doing that, and I'll see you guys on the next program.